Wolfman and Girl Find Common Ground Hot Story, with a second part coming soon on almost HFY channel.
When Lovis stepped onto the ship, everything changed shade. Her shoulder bumped Raz's at the galley counter, hands nearly tangling over the sugar bowl, the air dense with coffee, ozone, and unspoken tension. In her pocket, a small bottle, pheromone blockers. This time, she wanted the truth of him, not just the biology neither could control. The first spark was barely a touch. Her fingers grazing his wrist, both of them holding still, pretending not to notice the charge. Ben watched from the corridor, smirking as the new arrival turned every room electric. Not even a wolf's nose was needed to catch the pulse between them. Days blurred into shifts, Lovis trading jabs over the comm, Raz risking a joke, each circling the other like an orbit. Complaints about paperwork, grins passed across console lights, shoulders brushing in the dark. But in the quiet, late, lights low, something shifted. She stood barefoot in the break room, watching him watch her. Her hair fell forward as she bent close, lips brushing his for a heartbeat. Then the whole world narrowed to the touch of her hand, the surprise in his eyes. Laughter tangled in the air, breath settling, hope waking. For the first time, both wondered if this ship might hold something more than work and wariness. Now, with every shift and every look, they both know the space between them is shrinking. The story continues tonight. Lovis paused outside his door, breath warm against the back of her hand. The corridor vents carried his scent, familiar, steadying. She knocked once. His voice answered, low and rough. Enter. She slipped inside, wrapped in a loose shirt that brushed mid-thigh. Amber night strips cast soft gold across her skin. Raz lay half-reclined on his bunk, tablet forgotten, orange eyes lifting to her with a slow, unguarded pull.
Hi, I wasn't sure if you were awake. If you want company. I waited, earlier, for you to react.
Her voice, it struck him harder than any scent ever had. Not pushed by biology, but by her. Her choice. For once, everything about her felt grounded and real, not a reaction to his nature. He sat up in one fluid motion and reached for her waist. She let out a startled laugh as he lifted her, effortless, and pulled her close. The bunk dipped beneath their weight as she landed against him, hands braced on his shoulders, giggles catching in her throat.
Yeah, I want.
She barely heard the rest. He rose with her in his arms, carrying her the last half-step onto the bunk. Her laughter softened against his mouth as he kissed her, slow at first, then deeper, her fingers curling in his hair. The cabin lights dimmed another shade, leaving them in a cocoon of breath, warmth, and the moment neither dared break. Their foreheads touched. Her smile brushed his lips. His hands held her steady, careful even now, as if she were something precious. Outside, the ship hummed around them, quiet, expectant. And the night finally tipped forward. Lovis curled against Raz, her cheek pressed to his chest, breath slowing as her senses caught up. The heat of his body seeped into her, every rise and fall of his chest steady and grounding. Her hand wandered, slow, curious, no hurry to leave the moment. Fingers traced the line of his ribs, lingering on muscle and bone, the shifting architecture beneath his skin. She mapped old scars, the slope of his hip, the faint bristle of hair. A quiet giggle slipped out when her palm drifted lower, discovering proportions that drew her eyebrows up, then a conspiratorial grin.
You're built different, you know that? She murmured, planting a kiss under his jaw. Impressive, all of you. Her eyes sparkled in the amber light.
Raz rumbled a laugh, the sound low and loose in his chest. For once, he let himself bask in her attention, the marvel of being explored and appreciated, not just endured. She shifted, legs tangling with his, and rolled him gently to his side, pressing close, their bodies a tangle of warmth and trust. Her lips found his ear, words featherlight.
Your turn, she whispered. Let's see if you can do that to me again.
For a moment, the world held its breath. Raz's eyes flashed golden in the low light, laughter spilling between them, hands sliding to her waist, steadying her as they rolled together, laughter spilling between them. Sheets tangled, limbs entwined, their laughter rising with a slow build of heat, new, but now familiar, each touch an answer, every gasp a promise. In this hush, wanting was a gift, and giving was all that mattered.
I don't know what you're made of, he murmured, brushing her hair from her cheek. But you're something else. I've never felt anything quite like that before.
She traced a finger over his collarbone, lips curving.
You make it easy. I never knew it could be like that. Never had anyone match my pace before.
His laugh rumbled quietly against her as she nestled close, limbs tangled beneath the covers. She kissed him, slow, lingering, then let her head settle in the hollow of his shoulder, her body sinking into his warmth. He felt her calm, sated and safe, and finally let himself believe it was real. Morning bled into the cabin, pale light slipping across tangled sheets. Raz blinked awake, arm draped over Lovis. Her hair fanned across the pillow, wild and golden in the soft sun, her body curled trustingly against his. Lovis murmured, then stretched, slow, cat-like, turning to face him with a lazy grin. She sat up, hair tumbling down her back, and glanced at him sidelong, eyes bright with mischief.
I want more of that tonight. If it's not too much for you. Her eyes glinted in the morning light, challenge and invitation mingling.
Raz felt something loosen in his chest, this woman, fearless, meeting every part of him without flinching. She didn't just accept his wolfishness, she welcomed it, answered it. He smiled, slow and honest. She leaned in, brushing a kiss over his cheek before sliding from the bed. Shower? She asked, tossing a shirt at him. He grinned, following her down the corridor, two silhouettes, close as laughter, sharing sleepy jokes as hot water washed the night away. They dressed side by side, exchanging shirts, bumping elbows, quick glances full of last night's heat and today's ease. In the galley, Ben lounged with his mug, eyebrow arched in silent appraisal as they entered together. Hair damp, eyes bright, smiles impossible to hide.
Finally, some order around here. He sipped his coffee, smirk lingering as he slid them a plate of toast.
Lovis squeezed Raz's hand under the table. Breakfast tasted better than it had in weeks. Easy, shared, the whole ship a little lighter for what the night had given. The galley buzzed with morning energy. Ben telling some wild story, Lovis snorting into her mug, Raz shaking his head, lips twitching. Plates clattered, coffee flowed, sunlight or what passed for it in space spilling gold on steel. Raz rose first, rolling his sleeves, nodding to Lovis. She grinned, grabbing her toolkit, already anticipating his stride down the corridor. Ben tossed a half-eaten biscuit their way. Don't break my drive, you two.
No promises. You remember what happened last time someone let you near a spanner?
I recall. Ship ran smoother, except for the part where you rewired the music system to play marching band at 0600.
They crossed the deck together, laughter trailing behind. The doors to engineering slid open, the familiar tang of ozone and lubricant greeting them. Tools were already spread out, Lovis' careful chaos, Raz's neat stacks colliding. She knelt by the open panel, hair tied up, grease already smudged on her jaw. He hovered at her shoulder, hands ready. She nudged him with her elbow. You gonna stare or hand me that hydrospanner?
Thought I was here for moral support. But sure, he passed her the tool, letting their fingers brush.
Circuits were swapped, old relays replaced, diagnostic lights blinking. Lovis muttered to herself, then called out specs, Raz answering, hands steady, sometimes catching hers mid-motion to guide a wire or steady a bolt. The upgrade moved fast. Two minds locked together, running on shared memory and new momentum. Every now and then, Raz cracked a joke. Lovis rolled her eyes, but her laughter echoed in the engine bay. Hours later, sweat-damp and satisfied, they wiped down the last panel and leaned back, admiring the humming drive.
We're a pretty good team, even if you keep stealing my wrenches.
Consider it payback for the marching band. Besides, gives me an excuse to stick close.
Lovis grinned, grease-streaked and glowing. Raz bumped her shoulder. The hyperdrive thrummed, the ship ready for anything, and so were they. The last glow of the ship's day cycle faded as they made their way down the corridor together. Shoulders brushing, hands bumping now and then. Raz carried two mugs. Lovis nipped it aside, hair still damp from a late shower. He nudged the cabin door open with his foot. Lovis slipped inside first, grinning over her shoulder, and flopped onto his bunk like it was already hers. Raz set the mugs down, shaking his head at the easy claim.
If you hog the whole bed again, I'm kicking you out.
She grinned, grabbed his wrist, and tugged him down beside her, feet already stealing his half of the blanket.
Last night was all elbows and knees. I nearly fell out twice.
She poked his ribs, laughter bubbling up. That's what you get for being twice my size. He caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her knuckles, their legs tangling without hesitation. Their breathing slowed, matching without trying. The kind of quiet that settles only when two people finally stop pretending there's distance left to keep. Lovis brushed her thumb over his chest, small, absent, content. Raz answered with a low hum, eyes half closed, holding her just a little tighter. The moment hovered, full of unspoken things, full of where the night might lead. If neither of them pulled back, the lights dimmed one more shade, as if the ship itself knew what came next and belonged to the corridors or the consoles. That's where we leave them for now. The full version of what follows, the deeper dive into this night, the choices they make, and how close they truly get, is waiting on Patreon. If you're watching on YouTube, tap the link to continue the story and remember to like and subscribe so more people find these episodes.